Hi there. As you know, this weekend the USA Nationals are taking place, and last year there was some confusion with the results of the male open. For some people like me, it wasn't clear why Muhammad Jafari won ahead of Daniel Woods. So I'm going to try to explain how the scoring system works in case that happens again this year. The USA Climbing Bouldering scoring system has two criteria. First, the number of tops, and then amount of points. Tops are good and points are bad. You want to have a lot of tops, and the lowest possible amount of points. Tops are really obvious, but how do you get those points? Well, this system takes each problem as an individual competition. For each problem, you rank the climbers and you give them points, starting at the top. So let's say that out of 6 climbers in the finals, on a given problem, each get a different high point. One guy gets to the top, then another one a little bit lower, another one a little bit lower, and so on. Then you start at the top, and you give 1 point to the guy who got to the top, then 2 points to the second, 3 points to the third, and so on. Really easy, nothing special. What happens if there's a tie? If 2 or more guys get to the same high point in the same amount of attempts? Let's say that one guy gets to the top again, another guy gets stuck at the bottom, and 4 guys get tied in the middle. They get to the same point in the same amount of attempts. Well, the first guy is really easy, he gets 1 point. Then the next 4 guys, you have to calculate the average of all the points that correspond to those 4 positions. So 1 point to the guy at the top, and then you have 2, 3, 4, and 5 points to be given to those climbers tied in the middle. So you calculate the average. You have 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, you divide it by 4, and I think that it's 3.5. So those 4 guys, they all get 3.5 points. And finally, the guy at the bottom, well, there are 6 points remaining, he gets 6 points. So you see those guys in second place, they didn't get 2 points, they got 3.5. Now, you do this with each of the problems, and you're gonna end up, if there are 4 problems in the finals, you will end up with 4 values per climber. For instance, last year, Jafari got 2 points in the first problem, 7 points on the second problem, 1 point in the third problem, and 4 points on the last problem. How do you take those values and come up with the last value, the final amount of points? Well, you calculate the geometric mean. The geometric mean is the nth root of the product of the values. Bear with me. In this case, there are 4 values, so the 4th root of the product of the values. You multiply 2, in the case of Jafari, you multiply 2 times 7 times 1 times 4. You calculate the 4th root of that. I don't know how to calculate the 4th root. Yeah, I just use my form. And you get 2.74 points. You do the same with Daniel Woods and you get 2.84 points. So Jafari had less points, and since they both had 2 tops, Jafari wins because he has less points. Okay, but why? Why did Jafari get less points? You see, in the first problem, they did exactly the same, Jafari and Woods. On the second problem, Daniel did better. On the third problem, Jafari did better, and on the last problem, Woods did better again. So it's not that clear why Jafari won the comp. But here's the thing. Jafari did really well on the third problem. And this system likes it when you beat everyone else. When you don't have to share the glory, let's say. Daniel didn't win any of the individual competitions. Taking each problem as an individual competition, Daniel didn't win any of those. On the first one, he tied with another 2 guys. On the second one, he was second and tied with a guy for the second place. On the third problem, he was last. And on the fourth problem, he was second again. So he didn't win any of those individual competitions, whereas Jafari won the third competition. And he didn't share the glory with no one else. He got 1 point for the top he got on the third problem. What do I mean that sharing the glory? With this system, if one guy flashes a problem, he gets 1 point. But if 2 guys flash a problem, they don't get 1 point each, they get 1.5 points. And if 3 guys flash a problem, they get 2 points each. So you see that the tops get devalued. They get more and more points when more and more climbers get there. And that's what happened to Boots. He got 2 tops, but he had to share those tops with some other people. Jafari had to share the first top with another guys, but the third top was his own top. No one else was there. So he got 1 point, and that's the big difference. This system really rewards doing better than the rest on an individual problem. And that's one of the things that I don't like about this system. Well, there are 2 things that I really don't like. First of all, the math. This is really complicated. The moment you have a tie in the number of tops, you have to really do some serious math here. It's not just adding numbers. You have to first do the ranks for each problem, solve the ties, then calculate the points, calculate the 4th root of the values. It's a mess. And then, a given climber's performance can affect almost any other climber's score. What do I mean by this? Take for instance the last problem last year. Josh Larsson got the highest point. And even though he got the highest point on the last problem, he ended up in 4th place in the competition. Well, had Josh Larsson done worse on the last problem, Daniel Boots would have won the competition. I'm gonna say that again. Okay, here's Larsson in 4th place, and here's Boots. If Larsson does worse, Daniel Boots wins. That's really confusing to me. That a guy who's already below you, by doing even worse, can improve your score. That sounds really, really strange to me. But this is how the system works. The fact that when you share a given position, you get less points, or when you get to a given point, if someone else got there before you, that position is less valuable, means that any climber can improve or worsen another climber's score. And that's something that I really, really don't like. The fact that some tops are more valuable than others. The fact that Jafari, by sending the 3rd problem, got 1 point, but Daniel, by sending the 2nd problem, got 2.5 points. It's not that easy to explain why that is okay. Then, to illustrate what is really wrong about this system, and I hope I did this right, and if I didn't, please tell me, because I think this is important. Let's say that you have a competition with 6 climbers, 1 of them really, really tall, and 5 of them really short, and 4 problems. First 2 problems, really good for tall people. Last 2 problems, really good for short people. And I know that usually that doesn't happen, blah, blah, blah. That's just an example, okay? So the tall guy flashes the first 2 problems and doesn't do a single move on the last 2 problems. The short guys, the total opposite. They don't do a single move on the first 2 problems, and they flash the last 2 problems. So all of them did exactly the same. 2 flashes and nothing else. 2 tops in 2 attempts. Now in my book, that's a tie. And using, for instance, the IFSC system, that's a tie. But not with this system. Because this system takes a look at those results. And the system goes, okay, so the tall guy got 2 tops where no one else could top. So that guy gets 1 point per top. Whereas the short guys, yeah, they got 2 tops too. But a lot of people got those tops. So they don't get 1 point, they get 3 points. You do the math, and the tall guy wins the comp with 2.44 points, and the short guys end up with 3.46 points. I may have done this wrong. I've checked it a couple of times. I think that's correct. And well, I think that's obviously a flaw of this system. They did exactly the same. Why the fact that someone else topped the problem that you topped takes away value from that top? It shouldn't matter what the rest are doing. Climbing is an individual sport. So the only performances that affect your score should be your own performances. What you do shouldn't affect the score of no one else, and what anyone else does shouldn't affect what your score is. That's the way I see it. And I applaud the fact that USA Climbing is trying to come up with a better system, trying to do things differently, maybe find new ways of scoring climbing comps, but I think the system is really complicated, and the fact that a given climber's performance can affect another climber's score, that's, in my opinion, really wrong. But anyway, this is just my rant. Hopefully at this point you understand more or less how this system works. And please let me know, first of all, if I got wrong the example with the short guys and the tall guy. And then, what's your opinion on this system? Am I missing something? Am I completely wrong? Do you agree with me? Do you think it's a good system, a bad system? And let's hope that that tonight the scoring system is not the protagonist at all, and that we see a ton of good climbing. And yep, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.